Okay, here we go. Here we go with part 2 of Chris Matthews' propaganda hit piece against the Patriots.
This March, members of a Midwestern militia were arrested and charged with conspiring to kill police officers.
Okay, he's talking about the Hutari militia, who were basically a bunch of retards who made YouTube videos that depicted it was almost as if it was scripted. And you come to find out when they went to trial, there were FBI agents who infiltrated their militia and tried to get them to talk about doing these things, and it basically came out to be nothing. And of course, Chris Matthews ain't going to tell you the verdict of the court case. He's just going to tell you the mainstream media talking point about the whole event. And here it is.
Video posted on the group's website shows them training for armed combat. Prosecutors said they were planning an attack with the purpose of setting off what they hoped would be an anti-government
Prosecutors said they were planning an event. So what ended up happening, Chris Matthews? Let's see if he covers it.
uprising.
In the last year in particular, we have seen militias, which were really a big deal back in the 1990s, simply come roaring
Token
back.
mouthpiece for the SPLC.
Mark Podak is the director of the Intelligence Project at the Southern Poverty Law Center, where he tracks extreme right-wing groups.
We've gone from numbers like, 170 militia.
Southern Poverty Law Center is more extreme than any patriot I know.
To well over 500. I think there's a huge amount of anger out there. What we're really lacking at this moment is a kind of spark.
In the 1990s, during the last Democratic presidency, the Patriot movement was ignited by the government assault on the Branch Davidian compound in Waco.
The Waco siege was seen as this is what the government will do to people.
It was seen. It wasn't seen as or perceived as. That's exactly what the government does. 51-day standoff. FBI agents are on camera, on the record, gunning down Davidians that were running out of the fire that they started with their CS nerve gas on one of the windiest days of the year. And if you want to know the real story about Waco, please watch the documentary Waco Rules of Engagement and Waco A New Revelation, and that will clearly spell out what Waco was all about and what the Davidians were all about and how it went down and who should have really been on trial for murdering 80-some people and I think 17 kids. I mean, I'm just talking off the top of my head, but it's something like that.
Who dissent. If we were to have a similar kind of event now, I think it is entirely possible that we could see this movement grow even more rapidly.
Why would we have this type of event now? It was illegal for them to do it then. The Davidians were justified in shooting. They were being invaded. They weren't breaking any laws. They could have picked up David Koresh jogging any day of the week. They wanted to make a big media stunt, SWAT team into their church, which they keep calling a compound. It's not a compound. It was a church built by their own fellowship with their bare hands, Mark Podak and Chris Matthews.
Rapidly than it's been growing over the last 12 or 18 months.
In April 2009, the Department of Homeland Security warned that homegrown terrorism could be fueled by the severe recession and the election of the first African-American president.
President of the United States.
A common theme in the...
Again, Chris Matthews leaving out a bunch of stuff. The Homeland Security report also said, be careful of single-issue people like people who oppose abortion. I guess you're not allowed to oppose abortion. You must be a radical. Ron Paul supporters was in their report. And returning veterans could and possibly be homegrown terrorists. Now everyone's a terrorist. Every terrorists are behind you. Terrorists are clerks at the store. Everyone's a terrorist except the government, and they're saints, right, Chris Matthews? How come you didn't mention that the Homeland Security report you referred to said that veterans that fought for our freedoms or thought they were fighting for our freedoms were also listed in that, and Ron Paul supporters, people with American flag bumper stickers. You casually omitted all that information there, Chris.
Anger across the spectrum of the new right is the deep dislike for Barack Obama. The demonization of the president decorates many of the posters at the grassroots rallies. They call him a socialist, a communist, a Nazi, an historian.
Wow, all the same things they said about Bush, they're saying about Obama because they're the same person. The same things were said about Bush, Chris. That's a stupid argument you're making.
Are a threat to the country.
Mr. Obama is pushing a socialist legislative agenda.
He's going to destroy this country. And we're either going to stop him or the United States of America is going to cease to exist.
Again, that's Alan Keyes. They're saying he started the birther movement, but I think it might have been Phil Berg, who was a Democrat, lifelong Democrat, and established big-time attorney, who said that Obama's citizenship is he's not American-born. And they pick Alan Keyes for some reason because they think he's more radical. How come they didn't put Phil Berg in this documentary? I wonder why, Chris. Maybe because he's a Democrat, lifelong Democrat?
Keyes, who ran against Barack.
That would destroy your little left-right paradigm you keep trying to say.
Obama, in his 2004 Senate race, was an early leader in what's known as the birther movement. In November.
As a matter of fact, when Alan Keyes was running against Obama, they were having debates to where Alan Keyes says to Obama, you're not even a natural-born citizen. And Obama's response was, so what? I'm running for Senate or governor or whatever he was running for in Illinois. He said he was running for Senate of Illinois. He wasn't running to become the president of the United States. That was his response to Alan Keyes saying he wasn't even born in this country. All of a sudden, he's born in Hawaii.
2008, he filed a lawsuit claiming the president-elect should not be awarded California's electoral college votes because, according to Keyes, Obama is not a natural-born citizen.
He has refused to provide proof that he is, in fact, a natural-born citizen.
The president was born in Hawaii and has released the legal paperwork from the state doctor.
Again, Chris Matthews saying the president was born in Hawaii. He's stating it as if it was fact. What he's showing there is a certificate of live birth. It is not a long-form birth certificate. It doesn't have a doctor's name on it. Most of people applying for any kind of real job in this country would have to provide a better birth certificate than the one they're showing for the actual president. So, there's a lot of argument against this case, and Chris Matthews just says, hey, he's a citizen, he was born in Hawaii. Again, not doing his research and omitting tons of information on the subject, such as he has another alias, Barry Soetoro, and there's YouTube video of his grandmother saying she was there when he was born in Kenya, and his dad not being American citizen but a British subject when he was born, and so on and so forth. And just because you say, Chris Matthews, that here's his birth certificate, which is not a long form legitimate birth certificate, doesn't mean it's true. How about showing the opposite side of the story? How about debating somebody? I could debate you and beat you. You wouldn't even have me on your show.
Documenting his birth. Also available is the birth announcement that ran in the newspapers at the time of his.
There you go. Rock solid proof, Chris Matthews. A short form birth certificate, which is barely legitimate, and the birth announcement in the newspaper, which all you had to do was call the paper and tell them to put out in print that your son was born or your kid was born. It's not like they go through some kind of verification system at the paper, especially back then.
Birth. But it's not enough for the legions of people determined to prove he is ineligible for the office.
No, it's not enough, Chris. It's not. Not when there's so much controversy and stuff that goes against what you're saying here.
Hussein Obama is completely illegitimate for U.S. presidency, specifically because his father was never a U.S. citizen. He came to this country on a student visa from Kenya, which at the time was a British colony.
Also, one of the first things Obama did when he became president was sign Executive Order 1349, which basically says that he doesn't have to disclose any documentation to anybody. That's pretty suspicious, don't you think, Mr. Chris Matthews? I think it's pretty suspicious.
And due to British Nationality Act of 1948, Obama was